Welcome to Smart Vocational Rehabilitation and Case Management. I'm Maria Morris and I am taking you a journey through time from tragedy to victory. As you can see, I'm also a VRA winner in 2021 for my practice within vocational rehabilitation, and I'm also a vocational expert witness. Let's look at the past. VR and employment is worth far more than just a small, often ignored section within an INA report. Employment and occupation needs action and funding for us to provide you with smart VR to help you and your clients gain their sense of purpose, help their health, and boost their work status. Here's why. This is a definition from the VRA about what VR is. As you can see, it's a holistic way of looking at what occupation means, and this could be employment or other form of occupation, which we will cover later. It can mean paid or unpaid work. It can also mean engaging in an activity which is purposeful. So let's think about the cost. Why bother with VR? Well, in 2019, 30 billion was the cost of annual sickness absence from work. And Bevan and Hayday say that between 2 and 16% of annual salary is a cost for sickness absence by large employers in the UK. And the cost to individuals is 8.6 billion. Here's what some clients have told me after I've had interventions in terms of VR with them. So one man I assisted was looking for career promotion in the Navy. I suggested that he used 2 10-minute rest breaks and one outside during a long 6-hour oral exam. And he managed to pass the exam despite his cognitive issues, which meant that he got the career promotion within the Navy. Another gentleman, I suggested that he took 5-minute breaks and used an app to remind him of this, and it made all the difference. He managed a week back at work with less fatigue, and he had been absent for a month within a sales environment. I also worked with injured military personnel, particularly with the neurological cases, and of 72% of my cases resumed work in the military within their own or adapted role or civilian roles, when prior to my input the average was less than 40%. And an example, I had a gentleman with mild acquired brain injury, PTSD and visual issues. He was an RAF pilot on medical discharge. I conducted a transferable skills analysis, a driving assessment, retraining. It helped him with a work placement where he went to a National Trust location and also worked on a golf course. He then retrained within an apprenticeship to do golf course management and work as a groundsman. I've also taken 10 years to get into the Royal Household, and I assisted them with a number of their employees. One particular gentleman had an acquired brain injury as a groundsman, and we were looking at his capacity to continue work, the equipment safety, his fatigue, and the adjustments were reduced hours, delegate some duties, have a work buddy, take added breaks. I conducted a functional capacity assessment, job demands analysis, and an ergonomic assessment. And as you can see, the Royal Household were very pleased with the results. So how about the present? Vocational rehabilitation saves people money. So the VRA suggests there's strong evidence from around the world that early intervention achieves a benefit to cost ratio greater than 10:1 and more likely 18:1, as listed in 2014 by Theodore et al. There was a study of over 1,100 people. Claimants return to work at least 6 months sooner if earlier rehabilitation is provided, and they've estimated a cost savings average of $111,000 per person, over half of which is attributed to reduced healthcare, reduced benefit payments, and improved productivity in the workplace. So the cost savings would have been greater if vocational rehabilitation had been provided within 8 months of injury. Some more stats. So disabled people are more than twice as likely to be unemployed as non-disabled people. And typically only 20 to 41% are working prior to injury, still working 1 to 2 years after injury, and that's acquired brain injury from the Labour Force Survey 2017. And there's estimated to be 1 million sickness absences per week. And the other problem is poor retention, so 20% often relapse after return to work and then exit work, and that was referenced Dr. Joe Yarker, Affinity Health. So why are people not returning to work or remaining at work? Well, returning to work often without effective measures or adjustments. They might have poor symptom management. The gaps in their role and their actual capacity, either mental or physical, is too great. They might have unsupportive employers, or employers and employees are unaware of what to do, or there could be ineffective or lack of general resources. So vocational rehabilitation helps with this, and this is where it fits in. And the latest research from the VRA was how to support line managers. And again, with the CIPD Festival of Work that I attended recently, the key is the line manager. If the line manager doesn't know what to do, what to say, when to intervene, work with HR if they've got one, work with occupational health if they've got one, then the whole system falls apart. So we are often the link between the person and the employer and the line manager. So let's start the conversation early. It doesn't mean that they have to return straight away, but it can help steer rehabilitation towards occupational activity, and that could be social, leisure, voluntary work or paid work. I've got a couple of clients at the moment that are doing just that. We're having early conversations about what the possibilities might be and keeping people updated and in the loop. Early intervention is 27% more effective for people with moderate to severe traumatic brain injury in work at 12 months and keeping them there 12 months post-injury than usual care. And that was a study by Radford et al. So you may have heard of Ikigai, or reason for being, reason for getting out of bed in the morning. So vocational rehabilitation can actually start with an interest or a hobby. It doesn't just have to be work focused initially. So we might look at what you're passionate about, what your profession is, what you feel your vocation is, or your mission in life. And we might look at what you're good at, or what your needs are, what you might get paid for, and what you actually love to do. I always suggest to people that we have a 3-horse race. So vocational rehabilitation model looks at having a plan A, plan B and plan C. We always aim to start, if possible, with somebody returning to work with same job, same employer. If not, an adapted or new job with the same employer because that employer knows them. If not, then it might be a new or adapted job with a new employer, which could mean training, supported employment or self-employment. VR also means building up stamina, skills and confidence, and quite often a really good step to that is recommending voluntary work. So 49 to 56% of people have said volunteering helped them to get in their career or to get a job, and 96% said volunteering had enhanced their sense of purpose. Some cases now. So I had a client who was referred via Circle with multiple physical and emotional health and care needs since 2016 due to various conditions, including necrotizing pancreatitis. Her spouse was her main carer alongside a support and rehabilitation team, and the spouse was mostly parenting her 2 sons, or their 2 sons through, although the client was participating within her health limits. The spouse left his job within retail management in 2016, and a vocational assessment was requested in November 21 to help the spouse return to work part-time. The outcome was vocational guidance was provided to the spouse as to how to best to explore suitable job opportunities or training in the local area. The spouse identified a desire to retrain in dog boarding and dog walking, as he also had a pet dog. The spouse attended training, got insurance and set himself up as self-employed part-time dog walker locally, and longer term aims to dog board. His hours are variable according to client health needs and setbacks recently, and his ongoing care and parenting role. Other avenues to explore are self-employment or apprenticeships, because they accommodate disability. They also accommodate care needs, as I've just explained. So let's put in smart VR, which means using or having the right person or VCM for that client, having that right input at the right time for the client and delivering it in the right way. And the process of this is shown in this diagram. So VR fits in here. It can happen whilst complementing rehabilitation and planning return to work. So what's next? What's the future? Well, I'm pleased to say that as of 2019, we can now sign fit notes or health at work documents to avoid delays from busy GPs who may not either know the process or the person that well. They might never have set foot in that particular work environment. So how are they possibly going to say whether somebody would have capacity to return to a job they've never even understood or seen? So this is now completed by a practitioner with the most relevant recent knowledge of a person's health, reason for absence, and their prognosis for return to work. So another case study you probably have heard me talk about. So this is one of my clients. He doesn't mind his name being listed. It all helps with publicising him and his business. He was involved in a road traffic accident with traumatic brain injury and hydrocephalus. He's 54, had a history of seizures, memory and reduced motor function, was reliant initially on 24-hour carer support, wheelchair user outside for long distances, although can mobilise with a stick shorter distances. I'm currently working with him and have been for the past 2 years with his case manager and also Circle Marketing, particularly Nicola, and we have successfully turned his antiques interest back into a profitable part-time business. He's now in a larger unit within the Alleyways Antique Centre at Bridport. If you ever get the chance, I highly recommend a trip. He is now well followed on social media to market his antiques, despite not using any digital tech previously and actually having a distaste for it. He's now growing his sustainable business. He's overcoming stockpiling issues, which were safety concerns, and also learning about how to balance stock, costs and profits. As you can see from the article, he was featured in a local press story and he was also in NR Times. Or he's due to be going into NR Times, we hope. So he has still retained his antiques restoration skills. He knows what to buy, he knows what will sell well, and he's making over 200% an item. And overall, he's looking to make £5,000 profit within the next year, working up to 12 hours a week, and he will become registered self-employed from January. And he's also just recorded his first voiceover on a Facebook ad, which is a major achievement for him. So this was one of a recent advert that was on his Facebook page with the help of Nicola, in line with the RNLI West Bay Day, and he is helping to raise money for RNLI on that particular day. And his antiques unit had lots of sea-themed items within it to help boost his sales. Another client was 56 years old at the time of accident. He had an acquired brain injury whilst trying to enter a vehicle. He was comatose for many weeks before starting rehabilitation and leaving hospital. He again had reduced memory, gross motor function, fluctuating fatigue and moods. Prior to the accident, he was a high-achieving owner of a property business, a sports team manager and a family man. And now, following his injuries, with our support from case management, VR and Circle Marketing with Nicola, he has now found his new vocation as a guest speaker, which allows him to support, educate and inspire professionals, as well as others that may have been through a traumatic event. He also helps people who are in a similar situation with similar symptoms, such as dementia symptoms and so on. He's published his journey through the national press, specialist publications, and is guest starring in charity and company educational videos. So again, I highly recommend you to have a look at Tim with his website, Regain the Brain. So, let Smart VR help your clients take positive steps on their occupational journey. Let me help you to help them with voluntary work, looking at leisure tasks, looking at maybe whether their spouse or parent needs help with returning to work, looking at retraining, apprenticeships, maybe transitioning from school or college into the field of work, or whether they're returning to work as an employee or self-employed. Finding a job you love and you will never work a day in your life. So now let's turn our client's tragedy into victory to best help them manage their symptoms and get them back to work. Thanks for listening, and do get in touch with me should you have any queries.